Hello everybody, welcome back for another edition of Roller Pigeon Evolution. It's been a while since we did videos and I'm glad to be back, glad to see you guys. And I've had some questions, people asking about color identification. What are the colors called? A lot of people know, but a lot of people don't know. So we're going to try to help everybody understand how to identify the basic colors and what the names really are. So just to start, your basic colors, this whole bottom row right here, are your basic, your standard colors that all colors derive from. You got black. This is what you call a black self. Next to it, you got blue bar, your basic color. Right here, you got blue check. And then next to it, this is a black checker. Looks like a black, it's not. It's actually a black checker. It carries a checker pattern. These are your basic colors. Everything comes from that. Right here, you've got what a lot of people call silver red bar. Now, if you look at this bird, you look at the color of his head, you look at the color of his wings, they're the same. You look over here, looks like the same pattern, but this is what you call a mealy bar. He doesn't have a self head, a little light in the head, but he's got color in his head, so that's a mealy bar. This is often referred to as a silver red bar, but it's still actually a mealy. So, but that's the difference. Then you look down here, you've got what looks like two red checkers. That's not two red checkers. This one here is what you call an indigo check. This one right here is your standard red check. Now, you go down, the red check and the blue check, they will produce each other. Red checkers will produce blue checks and blue checks will produce red checks. I've gotten out of all my families, red checks, blue checks, they produce each other. Indigo, again, is the gene that makes Andalusian. If you look at this bird, you look at the wing, you notice there's some differences. Exactly. Yep. Then you look at the tail, and you notice that band through the tail, that white band, that's an indication of indigo. If you look at the regular red check, the red check does not have that color pattern. You look in red check, again it's close, but it's very different. You look at the tail, that white band doesn't exist. And you notice all these little black spots?
Yeah.
Those black spots tell you this is a male. Females do not carry black. The only females that will carry black is a mosaic or a lavender or a silver hen. Sometimes you get silver hens, they're females, but they carry black specking. Normally, if you have a red check that has flecking in the tail, the flecking, if you look at this, the flecking is black. It'll be brown. Same pattern, but it's brown. That's a female. Females carry brown, males will carry black. So then, another thing that happens, a lot of people mistake grizzles and mottles for the same birds, and they're not. If you look at this first bird right here, that's a black and white mottle. Now, if you notice, the pattern is very specific and it's not interrupted by other colors. That's a mottle. If you come over here and you look at this, and you notice the pattern is interrupted by other colors. That is a grizzle. That's a red grizzle right there. And the other cock is a red grizzle also, but it's a barred. One's a bar pattern, one's a checker pattern. But these are red grizzles. How do you get a red grizzle? How do you get red grizzles? What makes a red grizzle? If you take a white, like that one, and you cross it to a red checker, or a red self, you're gonna get red grizzles. If you take a white like this, and you cross it to a blue check, you're gonna get the same color, but in blue. They're called blue grizzle. Grizzles are dominant. And what I mean, if you take, say, grizzles like this, and you have no grizzles in your cage, and you breed these two red grizzle cocks to say 3, 4, 5 of your hens, that gene that they carry, which is grizzle, is dominant. It will dominate your loft. In 10 years, all your birds will be grizzle. Because every bird they breed to and their offspring carry grizzle, and they will produce grizzle. So be careful when you're breeding grizzles to your birds. If your best cock is a grizzle and you're breeding it to everything, in a very short time, all your birds will be grizzle because it's a dominant gene. Now, something that's little known is white. Now this bird, which looks white, if you notice that one red feather on its chest, it's actually not a white. It's the same as these, it's grizzle. It produces white, but it's actually grizzle. It's not white. They will produce grizzles again and again and again because that's what they are. Every now and then they produce a white because they started with grizzles, they are grizzles. and they'll always be Grizzles. No matter what you breed them to, eventually they will produce Grizzle. Now, there is actually a bird that is white and it's dominant. And you say, well, wait a minute. I thought you just said white is Grizzle. No, white is actually dominant. There's dominant white and there's dominant Grizzle. If you take a bird that carries dominant Grizzle and you breed it to a blue check, like this, or excuse me, if you take a bird that carries dominant white and you breed it to a blue check, it will not produce you these. What it will produce you, it'll produce you white offspring and it'll produce you blue check offspring. For years, it was thought that white was not dominant. And in some birds, white is dominant. It happens in rollers, it happens in homers. There's a gentleman by the name of Kuyu, that's K-U-Y-U is his name. And he's a leading researcher in genetics. And what he proved is that there is such a thing as dominant white. He found it in racing homers, and he put a white homer to a blue check homer. The babies came out one white, one blue check. Then he took that blue check baby and crossed it back to an unrelated blue check homer, and they produced one white, one blue check. That is dominant. And he did it again and again and again on different pairs, so he proved that those birds carry dominant white. It's not Grizzle and it doesn't Grizzle. I have a family of birds that actually has dominant white. I found it in somebody else's cage, but they produce dominant white birds. So we talked about mottle, we talked about white, we talked about Grizzle. So over here, let's look at these. The question, are they Grizzles or are they tortoise? They're actually both. They're Grizzle tortoise. They have the tortoiseshell color and they are Grizzles. They'll produce these color birds. They'll produce a wide range of birds, but that is Grizzle tort. Right here, if you notice, this is a lavender. This lavender has all these black specking in them. That is a male. It's going to tell you, one, that it's a cock bird. And he carries a little ash red. But lavender, to me, is one of the... People call it lavender, people call it silver. It's the same color. Silvers and lavenders are the same thing. Let's see, what else? Oh, just to give you an example, this bird right here, you'd look at this bird and say, it's a black, right? It is a black, but guess what it carries? Andalusian. This is one of his brothers right there. That bird is an indigo check. That's his brother. They both carry Andalusian. I put that bird right there to another blue check. I'll produce indigo checks like this bird. So it carries Andalusian on both sides of its family. There's a brother to it right there. And I've already produced indigos off of this bird. Both parents, Andalusians, it came out black. But it actually carries Andalusian or indigo on both sides. So, again, just a little help in color identification. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Please tune in for the next show and hit the like button, ask questions. Thanks again.